Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Plato's Republic. Specifically, chapter 3.
That's a good one.
Where Socrates is laying out his vision for the guardians.
Right.
The guardians of his ideal city.
Protecting the city.
So think of them like
ancient Greek.
Ancient Greek Avengers.
I like that.
But instead of, smashing villains, they're wrestling with these philosophical dilemmas.
And what dilemmas they are. Remember last time we were building this ideal city?
Yeah.
And now we're figuring out how to safeguard its morals and safety.
Right.
And Socrates believes that all comes down to who these guardians are. Their character, their very essence.
So you're saying we need like a superhero squad?
Yeah.
For this city that we're building.
Exactly.
Socrates is pretty specific about who makes the cut right.
He is.
He wants them to be brave and strong.
Of course.
Obviously, but not overly aggressive.
Right.
It's like finding that Goldilocks warrior.
Yes. Not too hot-headed.
Yeah.
Not too timid. Just the right balance.
Just right.
Yeah.
And why is that balance so important?
Well, because Socrates is deeply wary of power corrupting. If the guardians are too power-hungry or driven by their emotions, they could become the very tyrants they're meant to protect against.
So they can't be all like Hulk smash, all the time. You got to have a little bit more nuance.
You need some finesse.
Yeah. But how do you even find these perfectly balanced warrior philosophers? It seems a little bit like searching for a unicorn.
Well, Socrates believed it boils down to temperament, a natural inclination towards justice and self-control, even in the heat of battle.
Okay.
These qualities, he argued, are essential for protecting the city without succumbing to the temptations of power.
Okay, so we're looking for inherently good-natured folks who can handle a sword and a philosophical debate.
That's it.
Check. But then Socrates throws in this curveball.
He does.
Censorship.
Yes.
Wants to strictly control what the guardians experience. Stories, music, even the myths they hear.
It's true.
Isn't that a bit extreme?
It might seem that way at first.
Okay.
But consider this. How much are you influenced by what you see and hear in the world around you? Socrates believed that stories and music weren't just entertainment.
Right.
They were powerful tools for shaping the soul. He argued that exposing the guardians to the wrong kind of art could lead to moral corruption, making them unfit to rule.
So it's like a super strict guardians-only playlist.
Sure.
Curated for maximum virtue.
Yes.
Okay, I get the logic.
Right.
Bad influences, a bad character, but it still feels a little Big Brother.
Yeah.
Like, is it wise guidance or is it controlling information?
Well, and it definitely makes you think about the power of media, even today, and how much it shapes our own thoughts and behaviors.
Bravely. Totally.
Absolutely.
So Socrates' idea forces us to confront that tension.
Yes.
Between guidance and censorship. How much control is necessary.
Right.
And at what point does it become harmful? It's a question that's just as relevant today as it was back then.
Absolutely. So we've got...
Okay, so we've got our carefully curated guardians.
Yes.
They're strong, they're brave, they're morally sound. But then Socrates throws another shocker. He's all for a noble lie.
What?
He suggests that sometimes a beneficial lie, a little white fib, for the greater good, might be necessary to maintain harmony in the city.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Socrates' example is a myth about the city's origins and a natural hierarchy among its citizens. He argues that this lie, if believed, would foster unity and loyalty among the people, creating a more harmonious society.
Hold on. So a beneficial lie.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to swallow.
It is a tough.
Even if it's for the greater good.
Right.
Isn't any lie still, a lie?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, where do we draw the line? Does the end justify the means when it comes to truth?
Yes.
It's like we're tumbling down
the rabbit
hole of ethical dilemmas.
It's a question that has plagued philosophers for centuries.
Right.
Socrates' noble lie challenges us to confront the complexities of truth and morality.
Yeah.
It forces us to ask ourselves, are there ever circumstances where deception is justified? And if so, who gets to decide?
It's making my head spin. But Socrates doesn't stop there.
Oh, no.
He has this idea for how the guardian should live.
He does. He has a vision.
Communally.
Oh, radical one.
No private property.
Nope.
Shared resources.
Like everything's shared.
Even family's a communal affair.
It's a bold vision.
Is this utopia, or is this a recipe for disaster?
It's certainly a bold vision and one that has sparked endless debate.
Wow.
Socrates argues that by removing personal attachments and potential for conflict, the guardians would be utterly devoted to the common good.
Right.
No squabbling over possessions or family drama.
Right.
Just pure focus on the well-being of the city.
I get the logic.
Right.
Less stuff.
Yeah.
Fewer personal dramas. More focus on the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But could you imagine living like that?
It's a big ask.
Giving up your belongings, your own family structure?
Yeah.
That's a massive sacrifice.
It's a radical idea, no doubt. And it forces us to grapple with the tension between individual freedom and collective well-being.
Right.
How much are we willing to give up for the sake of a harmonious society? It's a question worth pondering.
Totally.
Especially when we consider the challenges facing our own world today.
It makes you think.
Okay,
so we've got our guardians.
We do.
They're morally upright.
Yes.
They're carefully curated.
Right.
And they're living this life of radical sharing.
They are.
But Socrates isn't done yet.
He's not.
He has very specific ideas about their education.
Very specific.
A blend of physical fitness, music, and philosophy.
Of course.
Why this particular combo?
Each element is carefully chosen to shape the ideal guardian.
Okay.
Physical training ensures they are strong and capable protectors.
Right.
Music, Socrates believed, cultivates emotional and moral sensibilities, refining their character through harmony and rhythm.
So it's not just pumping iron.
No.
And, learning philosophy.
It's about the whole person.
It's about cultivating the whole person.
Yes.
A well-rounded warrior, philosopher, musician.
Precisely.
Wow.
And at the heart of it all lies philosophy.
Right.
This is the cornerstone of their education.
Okay.
Teaching them to seek truth, to reason justly, and to understand the deeper principles guiding their actions.
So they can actually
be good leaders.
It's about creating leaders who are not just strong, but wise.
Yeah.
Who act not out of impulse,
right,
but from a place of knowledge and virtue.
Wow. Socrates really thought this whole guardian thing through.
He did.
It's a fascinating approach to leadership.
It is.
Building strength, refining character through music, and grounding everything in this solid philosophical foundation.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, what kind of education do we need today to create wise and just leaders for our world?
That's a question worth pondering.
It is.
And on that note,
yes,
we'll take a quick breather
to
gather our thoughts.
Let's do that.
We'll be back soon to delve even deeper into Socrates' vision for the guardians and explore what we can learn from these ancient ideas.
Sounds good.
In our own complex world.
I'm ready.
Stay tuned.
All right. Makes you think about the kind of leaders we need, both now and in the future.
Right.
But let's get back to those guardians. We've talked about their character and their education.
Yeah.
But what do they actually do?
Right. Yeah.
What's their day-to-day in this ideal city?
Right. Because it can't be all philosophy seminars and lyre practice, can it?
All the time.
They are the protectors of the city.
Right.
So are they like ancient Greek special forces, ready to swoop in at a moment's notice?
Well, their role is definitely multifaceted.
Okay.
Remember, Socrates isn't just building a fortress. He's envisioning this ideal society.
Right.
So the guardians aren't just warriors.
Yeah.
They're responsible for upholding justice and order within the city itself.
Oh, so
think of them as a combination of lawmakers, enforcers, and role models for the citizens.
So they're like philosopher, police, teacher, kings, all rolled into one.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
But wouldn't all that power be tempting to abuse?
Yeah.
Even with the best intentions?
Yeah.
Wouldn't some guardians be tempted to use their position for personal gain?
Of course. And that's precisely why Socrates designed their lifestyle and their training to minimize those temptations.
Okay.
By removing personal possessions and ambition from the equation.
Yeah.
He aimed to create guardians who are motivated solely by the common good.
Okay.
They're not driven by wealth, status, personal glory. Their focus is on the well-being of the city as a whole.
It's a noble idea.
It is.
But it also assumes that these guardians are practically superhuman
Right.
in their virtue.
It's true.
What if one of them cracks under pressure? Seems like Socrates doesn't have like a plan B for corruption within the ranks.
That's a valid point, and it highlights one of the main criticisms of Socrates' ideal city.
Okay.
Its reliance on this perfect virtue. Critics argue that it's unrealistic.
Right.
That it fails to account for human fallibility.
Yeah.
And the potential for even the best intentions to go astray.
Right, because even in our world today,
exactly,
with all of our checks and balances and stuff, we still see examples of power corrupting.
All of the time.
So is Socrates being naive? Or is he presenting an idealized model for us to strive towards, even if it's unattainable in its purest form?
That's the beauty of philosophical inquiry.
Yeah.
It pushes us to think beyond the practical and grapple with the what-ifs and the could-bes.
Right.
Socrates might not be giving us a blueprint for a real-world utopia, but he's challenging us to imagine a better society and consider the qualities needed to create it.
It's like he's holding up a mirror to our own values and saying, what do you think makes a just and harmonious society? What are you willing to do to achieve it?
I like that. And that's why the Republic, despite its age and sometimes radical ideas, remains such a cornerstone of political philosophy.
Right.
It sparks debate.
Yeah.
Challenges assumptions.
And forces us to confront the complexities of governing and the human condition itself.
Speaking of complexity, let's circle back to Socrates' emphasis on this holistic education for the guardians.
Yeah.
We've touched on the physical and philosophical training, but he also places a lot of importance on music.
He does.
Why is that?
This is a good question.
It seems a little bit out of place.
It might seem surprising.
Yeah.
But this is where Socrates' profound understanding of human nature shines through.
Okay.
He believed that music wasn't merely entertainment.
Right.
It was a powerful tool for shaping character and cultivating moral virtue.
So it's not just about, learning to play an instrument.
No.
It's about the deeper impact that music has on us.
On our souls.
Yeah, on our souls.
Exactly. Socrates believed that different musical modes and rhythms could evoke different emotions and states of mind.
Right.
So exposing the guardians to the right kind of music would instill harmony, balance,
and a love of beauty, which he saw as essential qualities for leadership.
So if I'm getting this right,
a
steady diet of, say, heavy metal wouldn't exactly foster peace and tranquility.
Perhaps not.
In the ideal city.
But the core message here is that we should be mindful of the content that we consume.
Right.
And its potential impact on our character. Just as the guardian's education was carefully curated, we too can make choices about the influences we allow into our lives.
That's a good point.
It's about taking responsibility for shaping our own mental playlists, so to speak.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
So choosing content that uplifts.
Yes.
Inspires. And maybe even nudges us towards being better versions of ourselves.
Exactly.
It's a pretty empowering idea.
It is.
Even if it puts the onus on us to make those choices.
It does. And that's precisely where Socrates wants it to be.
Okay.
He's not advocating for rigid external control.
Right.
But rather encouraging individual reflection and mindful engagement with the world. True virtue, he believes, comes not from blind obedience, but from reasoned understanding.
Right.
And consciously choosing to live a good life.
So it's not about somebody dictating what's good or bad.
Right.
But about us developing our own wisdom.
Yeah.
To make those judgments for ourselves.
Exactly.
It's a powerful message, but it definitely takes effort.
It does, and that's precisely why Chapter 3 of the Republic is so compelling.
Okay.
It's a call to action disguised as this philosophical inquiry. It invites us to examine our beliefs, our societies, and strive for a world where wisdom and virtue guide our actions.
It's a tall order.
It is.
But it's a conversation worth having.
I agree.
Especially in a world that often seems to prioritize power and self-interest above all else.
Absolutely. And on that note, maybe it's time to shift gears a bit.
Right.
We've covered a lot of ground with the guardians.
Yeah.
Their character, their lifestyle, their education.
Right.
But there's another fascinating layer to Socrates' vision that we haven't touched on yet.
Dude, we're ready to dive even deeper into the rabbit hole of Plato's Republic. Okay, so we're back and ready to uncover this next layer of Socrates' vision.
Right.
You mentioned there's more to these guardians than meets the eye.
There is.
What else did Socrates have in store for them?
Well, this is where we get into one of the most controversial and fascinating aspects of the Republic.
Okay.
The idea of the philosopher king. Socrates argues that the ideal rulers of his city should be those who possess not only practical skills and strength, but also a deep understanding of philosophy and the nature of justice.
So philosopher king. So these guardians aren't just like keeping the peace. They're actually running the whole show.
They are. They're the leaders.
That seems like a pretty big ask.
It's a big job.
I mean, how many people can like bench press a chariot and debate the finer points of metaphysics?
It's definitely a tall order.
Yeah.
But Socrates believed that true wisdom and virtue are essential for just and effective leadership. He argued that those who are truly fit to rule are those who have dedicated themselves to the pursuit of knowledge and the good, not those who are driven by ambition or personal gain.
So we're talking about leaders who are more interested in wisdom than in power.
That's the idea.
That's a pretty radical idea.
Maximus.
Especially when you look at leadership in the real world.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like power and ambition
often go together.
Often go hand in hand.
They do, and that's precisely why Socrates' vision is so challenging.
Okay.
He's asking us to imagine a world where leaders are motivated by something higher than personal gain. Where they see their role as serving the common good. And upholding justice, not furthering their own interests.
That's a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
But, like, is it actually realistic?
That's the question.
Could philosopher kings ever exist outside of, these philosophical thought experiments?
It's a question that's been debated for centuries.
Yeah.
And while we may never see a society ruled entirely by philosopher kings, I think Socrates' ideas still have a lot to teach us about the qualities we should look for in our leaders.
I'm with you there. So even if we're not going to have a philosopher king knocking on our door anytime soon, what can we take away from Socrates' vision? How can we apply these ancient ideas to our own lives and the way we think about leadership in the modern world?
I think one of the most important takeaways is the emphasis on wisdom, virtue, and a commitment to justice as the cornerstones of good leadership. Socrates reminds us that true leaders are those who serve the common good, not just their own interests, and that they should be guided by reason and a deep understanding of what is right and just.
So it's not just about who's the strongest or the loudest.
It's not a popularity contest.
Or even the most charismatic. It's about who actually has the wisdom and the integrity to make good decisions for everybody.
For everyone and to benefit everyone.
Not just for themselves.
Exactly. And while we may not find perfect philosopher kings in our midst, we can still strive to embody those qualities ourselves and support leaders who prioritize wisdom, virtue, and justice. We can hold our leaders accountable, demand more from them, and challenge them to live up to the ideals that Socrates laid out so long ago.
It's a tall order.
It is.
But it's a challenge worth taking on.
Absolutely.
If you want a better world, we need to be willing to demand better leadership. And to cultivate those qualities in ourselves and in our communities.
It starts with us.
Yeah, totally.
I couldn't agree more. Socrates may not have provided all the answers. But he gave us the tools to ask the right questions. To think critically about the kind of society we want to create.
And to strive for something better, something more, just something more in line with the ideals of wisdom and virtue.
This deep dive into Plato's Republic has really been a journey.
It has.
We've explored the character of these guardians, their unique lifestyle, their holistic education.
We've covered a lot of ground.
And the intriguing concept of the philosopher king.
Yes.
It's made us question our assumptions about leadership.
It has.
And power, and even just the nature of a just society.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of engaging with these timeless philosophical ideas. They challenge us, provoke us. And ultimately help us grow. As individuals and as a society.
So to all of our fellow deep divers out there,
we
encourage you to keep exploring these ideas. Share your thoughts with us and stay tuned for more thought-provoking content.
I can't wait.
And remember, if you've enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe to 2 Cents by Mr. A.
And share this episode with anyone who might appreciate a good philosophical workout.
Aha! Spread the word.
Until next time.
Yes.
Keep those minds curious and keep diving deep.
I like it.